So I'm just about to jump onto a call with one of our students, Aaron. Aaron's from Australia. He's traveling at the moment, so he's kind of traveling all around the world. But he is an amazing creator. He joined our program just over 2 months ago now, and he joined us in a position of having a really good audience on TikTok, probably around 400, 500,000. His own audience on Instagram wasn't as big. I think maybe 10, maybe 15,000. But essentially, he came to us in a position of knowing he wanted to monetize, knowing he'd been trying to monetize and hadn't really been able to make it happen, but had no clarity, wasn't sure on what the offer should be, wasn't sure how to sell it, wasn't sure how to talk in the DMs, how to package what he's doing, who to target. He was just really lacking a clear blueprint on how to take the audience he had built and actually create something with and create a business from it. Now, of course, if what he teaches, to some people, you could describe it as being very, intangible. It's much more about mindset, about taking action, about achieving your goals, about overcoming your fears. And so for him, it was knowing, how do I package that? How can I sell that and give people that clear, tangible outcome, or sell that outcome to then be able to, have more ease, or make it simpler for him to actually make sales. And so that's something we've been working on over the past, few months. He's been with us, and he's gone from not really making any sales to having his first ever 10K month inside of his business, which has been absolutely amazing to see. And he's been crushing it. And that's only after about 2 months of our help. And so there's plenty more time, plenty more room for growth as well for us to help him. And so in this video, I'm going to interview him. We're going to kind of break down what he's done so far, what's working, what he's been overcoming, his results, and also just a bit more details about himself, his personal life, and just ultimately what is working for him to get him the results he's had.
So I'm from Australia, and I originally I've been working in marketing and advertising for about 5 years, or had been working in marketing and advertising. I then realized that that was definitely not the right kind of way for me, and so I decided to quit everything cold turkey and start becoming a content creator. And so I started, making content, started on YouTube, built out my YouTube. And then I burnt out really hard. So then I pivoted towards more short form media, and I started on TikTok. And then I became a TikToker, and I started a series called 100 Days of Fear, where it was something where I pushed myself out of my comfort zone for 100 days because I realized just how unconfident I was in myself. And that I was just really afraid of a lot of things. And so I was like, okay, I know I want to be a content creator, and I also know I want to build up my confidence. So I just started this series mostly for myself, not having any expectation of what would happen. And then within the first month, it started to really blow up. And then I was able to turn my TikTok into a full-time career. And so, yeah, so then I built up I continued to make content and travel and become a travel creator, and built that up to about 500,000 followers. And then from there, I was like, okay, cool. Well, I've learned all of this stuff, and I have a real passion for creating and for building like an online sustainable business. And then and then I hired my own coach, and then completely learnt a new way of thinking and working, and built out my coaching business. And now I help, my coaching business is focused on helping creators and creatorpreneurs execute and take action towards their biggest goals and their business goals. So yeah, now I've been running that for about a year, and yeah, it's been just so much fun, and it's been a really incredible experience.
Yes, amazing. Because you had such a big following, and you blew up basically in terms of like your TikTok, your Instagram, mainly the TikTok, that really took off for you in terms of like the growth and that side of things. Is there anything you think with that page specifically? Because I remember we had that conversation that in the beginning, at least, there wasn't necessarily a strategy to it, right? Like there became a strategy once you started to see what was working, what wasn't working. There did become a strategy. But what do you think? I know it's something you kind of teach a lot about, in terms of your early success with that page. Why do you think it started to blow up? Was it more of like the type of content you was posting? Do you think it's more about your personality or the things you was doing? Or was there a strategy behind it? Like, what do you think, like, what's the reason that you had that growth with the page originally when it started to pick up?
So definitely a couple of reasons. I mean, there was a strategy, a baseline strategy behind it. I knew that a series and serialized content
Yes.
does well, right? Because it's sticky, it brings people back. And so I knew that 100 days was something. Well, I actually took this idea from a guy called Jia Zhang, who did a TED talk about 100 days of rejection and 100 days of rejection therapy,
Yeah.
and where he just went out and got rejected. So I kind of took his idea and I saw the success he'd had. I'm like, okay, that I know that works and I know it
Mhm.
brings people back. I think so. That was in terms of the strategy side of things. That was kind of it in terms of strategy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Number two was I knew that it was an emotional, it was an
Mm.
emotionally charged idea. So 100 Days of Fear, right?
Yeah.
It would bring people and it would move people emotionally. Like I want to do that, or I'm terrified of that, or no way I could do that. So it was
Yeah.
sitting on the spectrums. So I really played into that as well. And I think the third reason was starting at a real I tried to keep everything as relatable as possible. So I
Mm.
started from as baseline as possible of like, I couldn't, I was so afraid of even high-fiving a stranger. So I started there. And what I did, and I wanted to prove and show, is that an average dude like me who's terrified of everything can
Mm.
improve their confidence as
Yeah.
you expose yourself and push yourself out of your comfort zone and take action consistently. So
Mm.
that has been like a really big premise for the coaching that I now teach, which is very focused around taking action, understanding what's going on in your head,
Yeah.
and so that you can get yourself into like to show up and follow through consistently, because that's ultimately kind of it with
Yes.
any
Yeah.
sort of success.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. And I agree with that. I agree. And I think that's the key point is, yes, there was the underlying strategy around the series of content,
Mm,
but that in itself is useless if you don't execute on it, if you're not consistent, if you don't
exactly.
do it all the time, if you don't show up and
Hmm.
put in that the disciplines kind of get things done. And of
Hmm.
course, within that, it's being consistent. That was actually, I guess, more so for you was actually overcoming the fear,
Hmm.
creating the confidence. That's what allowed you to then be consistent. It wasn't like the other way around. Um,
Yeah,
so really,
because
really
so
interesting.
many Yeah, so many people are stuck in that what I call like mind drama, which is the overwhelm, the fear, the self-doubt, the confusion, and they're stuck in that state and they can't break out of that state to be able to follow through. So helping
Yes,
them break out of that and then take action is ultimately, yeah, the premise of, yeah,
yes,
that.
yes, yeah, 100%, 100%. So just so I understand, before you joined our program, um,
Hmm.
were you trying to sell anything? I can't remember if you were selling a
Hmm.
product or if you sold a coaching. I can't remember what the situation was, but what was you doing before? And then what changes did you make that have allowed you to now have that success you've had
Hmm.
with the new program you've got?
Yeah. So I was selling a coaching program. It was basically the same as what I was selling now, but like I had no idea what I was doing before your program. Like
Yeah,
I have such a baseline idea of what is a funnel? Like what is the organic funnel?
yeah,
Um, how do you interact and engage people and take them through that sales cycle? How do you market yourself?
mm,
Um, how do you define like I didn't know who I was targeting. I kind of just had like, you know, I just hope for the best. I'm going to target anyone and everyone who needs help. Um, so I think from that to where I am now, where I am,
mm,
it's still a process, right? And I feel like it always will be, but it is. I am so much clearer on who I'm targeting, and that's been able to help build out the program even further, help
mm.
me with the messaging in my content, and just ultimately like all of the kind of resources that you guys provide in terms of sales, like how to
Yeah,
sell, marketing, scaling, all of that kind of stuff is just
mm.
been so dramatically different to what I've, and just really being able to allow me to hit the goals that I've hit.
Yes, yeah, yeah. And would you say then that, in terms of you then having that growth, let's say in the
Hmm.
business aspect of things. I know you mentioned a few things there, but if you had to point to one thing, just say, look, there's
Hmm.
there's one thing that has made the biggest difference, whether that is the offer, whether that is the
Hmm.
sales, whether that is the marketing aspect, whatever it might be, what would you point out as being like, no, that's the one thing that for you personally has had the biggest impact on the success now of the
Mm.
program?
Oh, wow. I mean, ultimately, in terms of, I would say sales, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the process of selling in DMs, like, or not even selling in DMs, just like taking people through the process of
Yeah.
like, and then warming them up and nurturing them,
Yeah.
and then building out the sales script, right? Like having a sales script. That for me has been
Mhm.
the most game changing thing because I'd get on a sales call. I reckon I had probably before the program,
Yeah.
before working with you guys, I reckon I had 6 sales calls. Had
Yeah.
no idea what I was doing. Absolutely could have closed them if I'd known
Yeah.
what I know now and through the resources that you've given. So I
Yeah.
think the sales side of things has been really important. Ultimately, it's a combination of everything, but yeah, for me, the sales has been the most game changing.
Yeah, no, I get that, and I agree with that. You know, I think for a lot of people, they have the idea of an offer, or they have the right content to some degree. They can get traffic, they can get people
Mm-hmm.
onto the call, and it is the combination of things, like you said. But just knowing with sales, at least the way we teach it is, yes, obviously having a script, but a script is there not as necessarily to sell, but more, that's how to communicate. This is the best
Mm-hmm.
way to communicate the value you've got to provide for someone. And when you can communicate in that way, it just makes
Mm-hmm.
it much more likely that they want what it is you have,
Mm.
right? And therefore you can then sell and make more sales. So it's a very, very important point. So what else do you think then, aside from the more tangible, the sales, content, and so on, is there anything else you think you've done that has allowed you to have success in the program? And what I mean by that is, are there new habits you've had to put in place in terms of, doing those conversations? Is there habits you put in place in terms of um, learning, investing in yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know, but like the more like intangible things, is there anything
Mm.
you have to work on yourself um, to allow you to be the person, let's say, to then have the success you've had?
Mm. I would say, I'd say the habit of DMing that I just did not have beforehand or didn't know how important that was.
Yeah,
Um, I'd say that that's definitely one that I'm also still working on because yeah,
yeah,
but like I think noticing the people who have like 500 followers
yeah,
and are getting infinitely more sales than I am. And then, like seeing like that and being like, okay, well, that's, there's so many important aspects of what they're doing that I'm not. So I think also
yeah,
not necessarily a habit, just interacting with the other people in the program has been who are like
yeah,
hitting 50K months. And I'm like, okay, great. I want to get there, So
yeah,
how do I get there? Let me chat to them. Let me dissect their brain and understand what
yes,
they're doing.
yeah,
So I think also, yeah, consistently like I have meetings set up each week with the people inside the program because I'm like,
yeah,
I want to learn from you. I want to see what you're doing as well and seeing how you are perceiving what you're learning through the program. So I think learning from those who are above you and DMing.
yeah. Yeah, no, no, that's good. And
Yeah.
it's a great point, because again, that's the why we have the program set up as we have it set up, so that you can then get
Mm,
access to other people who are doing well. And I think that not many people in programs where there's a community aspect to it, not many people leverage it in the way you've just described. Actually then reaching
mm,
out to other people, asking those questions, asking to set up a call, and there be
mhm,
some form of discussion there and value exchange for both. Like, that is such a great way to do it.
mhm,
Because then, like you said, you're not just getting the benefit of seeing the program from your eyes and your perspective, but you're
mhm,
getting it from the perspective of others and what works well for them, what doesn't work well for
mhm,
them. It's a much more rounded experience than, I guess, for yourself, in
mhm,
terms of what you're getting from that. So I think it's a really great thing. You're ultimately just getting as much as you can from the program. You're
mhm,
leveraging it in every way possible, which I love.
mhm.
Which I love. By the way, I love to hear that.
Yeah.
So that's amazing. What then in terms of I know you. So again, getting a more personal side now. I know you like to
Mhm,
travel. You've done a lot of traveling
mhm,
yourself before the program. I know you obviously would travel. We've met as well recently. So you've
mhm,
been doing a lot of traveling. Um, Aside from that side of things, or maybe it's helped that, is there anything the program has helped you with on the personal side of life? Like, has it allowed you more flexibility with things? Has it given you more confidence in your business and
mm.
being able to see a longer term vision? I don't know, but like, just on like the personal side of things, what impacts has the program now had on that
Mhm.
part of your life?
Absolutely. I mean, number one,
Mm,
seeing that there is a roadmap. Like
yeah,
you do this,
mm,
you will get there. Might take a
yeah,
bit longer than some, others or whatever,
yeah,
but you keep going and you will get to that point. So, and seeing how you can scale has given me so much confidence that this
mm,
will work because for the last like previous to us working together, that
Yeah.
period of time when I started my business and even creating, I've been like,
Yeah.
where do you go? Like, how do you build a business? Like, how do you build a business? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I think, and if you just like, if you don't invest in yourself and in these kind of things, it's going to take a lot longer to get to that point. But I think
Yeah.
it's given me a lot of confidence to keep pushing. And even on the days where, or even on the weeks or even month that you haven't had
Mm.
enough, or you haven't been getting the leads or whatever that you've
Yeah.
wanted, right?
Yeah.
It's still like a process of like, there's other people doing it. The wins channel is like, people are winning.
Yeah.
I want to win. So like, so
Yeah.
that keeps me motivated, but definitely just like the support as well of being like, no, you got this, keep going. Just like,
Yeah.
let's adjust your marketing or your sales or whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just ultimately, yeah, it's been confidence that this is a business and it can work, because you always get other gurus online, like one of my friends who's like, no, high ticket is not the way. Start small and build up. And I'm like, but like, I don't have that many followers. How do you know what I mean? So like,
Yeah.
and then knowing that no, high ticket is a really, really, really great way of doing things. So
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like it's been given a lot of confidence to push and to keep pushing.
Amazing. Amazing. That's good to hear. That's good to hear.
Mm.
And just so we can kind of have a soundbite, let's say, of this, of
Hmm.
your transformation, and how would you summarize your transformation from when you joined, which is like literally like 2 months ago. So like when you joined
Hmm.
2 months ago to now,
Hmm.
what has that transformation been for you, both on the personal level, the financial
Hmm.
level? Just if you could summarize that transformation, what was your
Hmm.
before and what's your,
Hmm.
it's not even after. We've what months left yet, but
In between.
what's your like third of the way after
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
far?
Yeah, so I mean, before I felt incredibly unclear and lacked any sort of direction and lacked the belief that it was possible to build a business
Yeah.
and to make this business work. I knew it could work, but I didn't have the belief that it could.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and the process of joining your program has allowed me to A, believe that it's possible, B, given
Mm.
me all of the resources I could possibly need to make it work,
Yeah.
C, given me the accountability to make it work.
Mm.
Um, and that's been a really, really big one as well. And ultimately helped me achieve like a 10K month, which is the bee's knees, in my opinion, of what you want to achieve.
Yeah.
And so, knowing that that is a benchmark and that that's possible, it's like, wow, okay, so much more is possible,
Yeah.
especially when you start scaling. So, um, yeah, I feel like from before to now is just drastically different. And it's been like 2 and a bit months. And
Yeah.
just helping me get super clear on who I'm reaching, and now being able to go, okay, what else can I do? Like, I'm starting a little Instagram live podcast series and with
Yeah.
creatorpreneurs, and like all these amazing things are starting to happen. And it's
Yeah.
just really, really cool. So massive, massive difference, and
Yeah.
definitely transformation since I've started.
Yes. Amazing. Amazing. That's great to hear. And do you think, or not do you think, but in terms of you taking, and it's my final question, in terms of you like
Mhm.
taking action,
Mhm.
investing into the program, why or what was it that made you invest, right? So, and this is
Mhm.
not to do with me, not to do with the program, just more so on a personal level. 2 months ago, or just over 2 months ago, you made a decision somewhere that you wanted to invest, right? You wanted to get help. What was it? What was that
Mhm.
mindset? What was it? What's that turning point where you decided, "No, now I need to get help. Enough is enough," essentially.
Yeah, I mean, to be completely honest, I went on the sales call with us, and I was not going to buy.
Oh, I remember. Yeah, I remember.
You remember? And
I think you
it
literally
was a
told me that
difficult.
as well, probably at the
Yeah,
start of
yeah,
the call.
yeah. I'm like, I'm not gonna buy. No, but I mean, I wasn't gonna buy because I knew it would be expensive. But it was just like, but it was what did it for me was you asked me at the end of everything,
Mm,
um, because I think I asked, do you think I can do this by myself? Dumbass question. But do you think, and then you said, well, like, or you responded with, well, you can either spend, you can either invest in time, like time doing it yourself, or you can invest in yourself now and go there much faster. And deep down, I knew that I was lacking the clarity. I had no freaking idea what I was doing. And
mm,
I'm just like, I knew deep down that if I didn't make this move,
yeah.
that I wouldn't do it. And so I feel
Mm,
like, yeah, it was really that kind of objection handling that really nailed me and pushed me over the edge. Because in
Yeah.
reality, that's kind of it, right? It's like
Mm.
you if you want to get to places, learn from people who are above you, and join the programs. And for me, a big thing as well, that why I was more inclined to join your program was the
Mm.
organic side of things. I
Mm.
have had calls with people who are like selling the latest AI sales funnel and do ads and all this kind of stuff. And I was like,
Yeah.
what I really loved was I want to learn the fundamentals. I want to learn how to sell,
Mm.
and if you've grown a business to the scale you have and helped
Mm.
other people do the same, doing it organically. Well,
Yeah.
I don't want to, I don't need AI or whatever. So those were kind of like the two main things that really pushed me over the edge.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
no regrets either. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. Yeah, that's the main thing. No regrets. Just make it
No
clear.
regrets.
Um, but yeah, cool. No, that's amazing. That's amazing. Well, look, thank you very much, mate. I appreciate your time. Yeah, some really good bites actually from some really good value as well you've given here and some good
Mhm.
ideas. So definitely going to clip, I think, parts of this and share it. It's actually been
Awesome.
very valuable. So
Mhm.
yeah, amazing. Thank you very much. Just to finish then, if people want to find you, if people want to reach
Mhm.
out, ask you questions, whatever, where is the best place? I'll put it down below obviously as well, but just so people know, where can they find you and reach out?
For sure. I think my main one would be my Instagram, which is aaronb_TV.
Yeah,
Otherwise, you can check out my Fear series on TikTok, which is the same handle as Instagram, or send me an email at aaronbarnesyt@gmail.com.
cool, cool. Amazing. All right, mate. I'll put all the details below the video. Thanks so much for your time.